All right, I'm back here with Christine, and this time we are talking about her journey to Oaxaca, Mexico. I'm so excited to learn more about this exciting trip that's happening at the latter part of 2026. So if you're listening and it's before October, you're going to want to hear more about this amazing trip. Welcome to the Calm Collective Conversations, where we explore hypnosis, nurse-led coaching, and the mind-body connection in everyday practice. I'm Christy Cowgill, nurse anesthetist, psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, and board-certified hypnotherapist. If you've ever wondered what's really driving behavior, what creates the conditions for self-healing, or how lasting change actually happens, you're in the right place. Let's get going. All right, Christine. Hey, good to see you again.
Hi. Good to see you too, Christy. I'm
Yeah.
excited to talk about the trip with you because it's definitely something I'm really looking forward to in October.
Yes. So, just in case our audience, our listeners haven't met you before, just give a couple of minutes to introduce yourself.
Sure, I am a holistic nurse. I am interested in sort of the intersection of research, holistic health, meaning I guess my specialty would be clinical meditation and imagery and hypnosis. So, ways that we can live our true, purposeful, and meaningful lives. So, yeah, working with people on how they can get as much of that as possible in their life.
Yay, I love that. And Christine and I have done some projects together on the concept of hypnosis and done some publications together. And we're both members of the Calm Collective Care, which is a group of nurses, holistic minded nurses, who use hypnosis as one of their primary tools for transformation. So that's how we know each other. And we all have individual interests as well. So, Christine, you've been working on this very cool, immersive, transformational experience in Oaxaca. So, what first called you to create this event? Tell us a little bit about this.
Sure. I've been interested in travel probably as long as I can remember. Growing up, I used to watch Rick Steves on the public broadcasting channel, and particularly this idea of travel being more in touch with local people. So, in other words, perhaps even spending less money, but actually getting more authentic experiences. And Globe Trekker. So, shout out to them because they definitely are my earliest travel influences. And I've been privileged in my life to travel to 29 countries at this point. And yeah, just really enjoy so much about travel and the experiences I've been able to have. So this journey specifically, the inspiration certainly was in 2023. My collaborator, friend, colleague, Caroline Ortiz, we had gone with a group of people to Oaxaca City in Mexico and had an amazing experience. And I think being there set the seed for wanting to return there. And she and I had talked for years, even prior to that. We've traveled together to a dozen countries at this point together. An idea of really sharing that with other people, that our love of travel and the different experiences. So that trip in particular, I'd say was very special. And we both had a sense of wanting to return to Oaxaca City. Yeah.
I love that. So you have traveled personally to 29 countries and but you've done a handful, almost a dozen travel experiences with Caroline. So she's your co-leader with this event, right?
Yes, she is.
And okay, so 2023, you guys went there together. And
Mhm.
what is it about Oaxaca specifically that feels so healing or alive or transformational for people? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think there's many different aspects. Personally, as you can see from what's behind me, the art of Oaxaca, just that there's beautiful street art, the colors, the vibrancy of life there. It's also like a culinary capital of the world. So certainly there's delicious food to eat and experience. And the warmth of the people. I think it just was a lovely experience of the people that we met when we were there. So, yeah, there's lots of reasons wanting to go back. Another sort of standout for me, and why one of the reasons I'm so excited to go back in October, is that I had worked with someone to cater a dinner at the place that we were staying. which was really beautiful, and the food was incredible. So we're talking again about a culinary capital, and this was a standout food. So the woman who prepared the dinner for us, Mimi Lopez, she also has a cooking class. So that's one of the things I'm personally excited about, is going back and actually learning how to cook some of this delicious food from Mimi herself.
Yeah. What do you imagine that Mimi is gonna, or can you share? Is it gonna be a surprise for participants, or what kind of dish
Of
are you
what we're
gonna learn to
making,
make?
I think I'll share specifically one of the dishes we'll be making is tortillas. So, as somebody who loves Mexican food but has never made fresh tortillas, that's something that I'm very excited about. Yeah. And the traditional preparations. And she herself, she was actually featured in Mexican Vogue and has a story about the women in her life and how she learned cooking. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from her more about her recipes and her cooking.
I love that. So I'm hearing some themes that I personally know a little bit that are your passion projects. Women and feminine energy and cooking and travel. So is who is this experience for? Who are you inviting into this? Is it for women only? Do you have to be a nurse? Who are you looking to take along as travel buddies on this?
Yeah, I'd say that we're looking to take people who that sounds exciting to. So, no, someone doesn't need to be a woman, they don't need to be a nurse, but a genuine interest in the connections that we're talking about, I think, is who would just have the better time. So, I have certainly traveled quite a bit in Mexico. If the interest was more, let's say, in like having a day at the beach or something like that, I was like, this just isn't a fit. So I think people that are interested in meeting up with the women, as you mentioned, there's definitely a focus on this trip of learning from the women themselves. So if that's something that you're curious about, there's also women that are entrepreneurs. So this organization that's doing great work with microloans. So not only the history and stories, we have a historian that's going to be talking to us about history of Oaxacan women, but also women that are creating their own business opportunities in the valley there. So yeah, so I think for people who are interested in making connections and really experiential part of travel, so I think that would be a good fit.
I love that. Sign me up. Will you please? Because I think that there's always a difference between a vacation and a really kind of soul-centered journey, right? And it sounds
Mhm.
like you're creating an experience for people that's very intentional. This is intentional travel, and I think that's what a lot of people are looking for. We want to travel, of course, but it's so nice to go with some intentionality, right? And in reading a little bit about this particular experience, there's also a theme of Dia de los Muertos. And I think that many people misunderstand Dia de los Muertos. So can you maybe share a little bit about this tradition and what it means? Like how does it represent Oaxaca culturally and maybe even spiritually?
Sure. I appreciate you saying too before about intentionality. So yes, this journey is intentional. It's small group, and I will also position myself as an outsider to the culture. So by no means am I an expert in that. We're working with people who are, but I would see myself more in a broker role there. So just want to acknowledge that this is my interpretation, and by no means am I an expert in this area. But last trip in 2023, we were there for Dia de los Muertos. And this trip will be in the leading up period. And I would describe that from my experience as commemorating and remembering. So much more that experience. It's rather beautiful. People will see certainly altars being set up and commemorations, and there's really beautiful and different from the traditions I grew up in, customs of welcoming back our loved ones with foods that they enjoyed, drinks that they enjoyed. So the altar itself is a beautiful way to welcome that person home. So I think that, speaking of intentionality, that welcoming our loved ones home. There's also several days of commemorations and celebrations. So there's different days that represent different, from pets, from children. There's different days within that community celebration. So it's a beautiful tradition. And again, I'm not qualified to speak on it, but I can absolutely give you links to put in the description of folks that can speak with more expertise than me in that.
Yeah. I think what I'm fascinated by is that how the Oaxacan culture really does have a different ritual around grief and remembrance, right? And you're going to be at a you're going to be there at a time that allows that exploration of that. And I think that intentionality that you've set to have the leaders or the people who that culture belongs to come and present it, because I think that we can all learn something about how other people view sometimes these really hard times in our life, right? This is a very different way of celebrating the life, right? Of our
Yeah.
pets, of the people that we lost, and a really gentle way to also introduce a different approach or perception around grieving and remembrance and celebration. I love how you said that, right? Again, sign me up. It is just, I love the fact that you and Caroline are going after, first of all, something that you both have enjoyed and experienced, which is travel, and bringing other people into it. Because not everyone has traveled abroad before, right? So for
Mhm.
somebody who maybe has never experienced traveling outside of maybe their own home state or even the US, or those who've maybe never done intentional travel, what would you suggest for them? Do you have a way to connect with them, to have any questions answered beforehand?
Sure. The thing that comes up for me hearing you say that, for those maybe who haven't traveled or really been outside their comfort zone, there's actually a French word, and my French pronunciation is not so great these days, but dépaysement, which is being outside of one's day-to-day experiences. So it's like a shaky feeling, but also invigorating, because I think that sometimes being away from our day-to-day experiences not only is slightly disorienting, but can help us get some perspective. As you said, for those of us that grew up where traditions around death didn't involve joy or grief, you know what I'm saying? These differences in how something is done, or ways that things are done, or just surroundings, can just give us, I would say, or have given me certainly, an energy, a different experience and approach, and to be able to see things with a different set of eyes once you've seen a new perspective. So I think it's a beautiful, exciting feeling. Can understand certainly the perspective for folks that haven't, feeling slightly like, what is this like? So happy to have conversations with people to see if it's a good fit. Don't want anyone to feel fully uncomfortable with that. So they can certainly reach out to us and we'd be happy to talk about that. But I think that it is going to be a small group. So the house, we're staying all together in a beautiful, large old house. And so there are only 8 rooms. So it lends itself, 8 rooms available, I should say, for participants. So it lends itself to being a smaller journey. So I'd say it won't feel like people are fully lost in some big tour group or something like that, which can be another challenge when traveling. So it is a more personalized small group journey. So yes, I'm happy to give you the info for how they can reach out and get their questions answered.
Yeah, that's awesome. So are you looking at how many people total? Because some of the rooms are double, right?
People could get a double room. I think it's just up to the individual. So people that are wanting to go with their partners or a close friend, it is a double bed. So I think for folks from the States, sometimes to see a bed that size, like that, just is up to folks if they want to do a double room. But ultimately, so it may range in size from 8 participants. There's 2 of us, as you mentioned, that are guides, uh, on up, depending, but still, it will still be a small group. We're definitely talking about less than 20 people in total.
Yeah. Okay. So less than 20,
Mhm.
some hand holding. You'll talk people through, make sure it's a right fit. If there
Mhm.
is somebody listening and they're like, hey, I kind of feel drawn to this, but I'm a little nervous, what would you want them to know?
It's of course up to them, but sometimes those butterflies or those little feelings it's worth exploring. So it's worth having a conversation and then deciding, because sometimes those feelings that we get that are, again, the outside of the element, is worth exploring. But yeah, I believe that the right things can happen when you're open to them, but also it's not a hard sell, as you can hopefully see from my stance. I know, our hope, I will say, Caroline and I, is to do more adventures. So perhaps if you've been to Oaxaca or feel done with Oaxaca, I don't know how that's possible, but that would be respected. That maybe just to be in touch and let us know if there's somewhere you're wanting to go. We do have some other things in mind. So hopefully that will come to light in the near future.
Some of the things that I hear you highlighting thus far are there's an opportunity for kind of communal meals and
Hmm.
some networking among the participants, as well as some local entrepreneurs and women. There's the ritual, storytelling, there's cultural immersion. The one thing that we haven't touched base on, but I see in some of your advertising is the artistry and those cute little alabri. Is
Hmm.
there going to be also opportunities for experiential experiences like that?
Sure. The street art in Oaxaca is apparent, so that by even just walking down the street, I have some beautiful photos of different murals along the way. Alebrijes that you mentioned, I had done a workshop making my own and then purchased the ones, the pictures that are on the site. But there is actually one day, the thinking was that people's tastes are different. So there are some really beautiful archaeological sites that would maybe take a different level of fitness or physically being able to climb and do all sorts of things. So we wanted to give a sense of being able to explore on one's own where their interests are more than just dictating this is what we're doing each day. So yes, there's one day that's a choose your own, we described as a choose your own adventure day. And we certainly have lots of ideas. If folks were like, what would I do? Have lots of ideas because of the experiences that we've had down there. But yeah, just there's so many opportunities to do different workshops, learn additional skills or learn about different crafts. But get to your point about the art, I was like, the art, you have a hard time missing. It really
It's
is
all around
tremendous.
and
Yeah, you're
yeah,
surrounded by such beauty and such vibrant murals. And I'm even thinking near the place that we're staying of how beautiful those are. So yes, I'm confident folks would get to see some inspiring art and yes, be potentially make it themselves if that's something they're interested in.
and how long is this trip with you and Carolyn?
It is October 1st to October 7th. So folks arrive. We can check into the house on the 21st and we need to be out on the 27th.
Okay. So is that 6 days,
Six.
5, 6 days? Okay. And when people decide to join you and when they return home from an experience like this, what do you hope continues unfolding long after their journey ends?
Yeah, I hope that it's a journey that stays with them, that will certainly be setting some intention. So again, I like the flexibility of not necessarily imparting what I hope for them, but I hope that they get what they set as their intention, what they're hoping for, which can be many different things. But I feel confident that they'll have an experience, a journey with fellow travelers where they've learned and been able to experience just again because of the amount of time, just a taste of what Oaxaca has to offer.
Yeah. I love this. I love the work that you're doing with really creating a retreat type atmosphere, intimate retreat, where you get to explore the intersection of culture, ritual, remembrance, of course, nervous system healing. We didn't necessarily call that out, but we did, right? The nervous system flourishes when things do feel a little uncomfortable, right? So if you're feeling a little nervous about traveling or a little nervous about meeting new people or a little nervous about going to a foreign city, right? That's great because that's where your nervous system is going to have the most growth, right? In this intentional travel that you and Carolyn are creating. What a beautiful immersive experience. Journey to Oaxaca, especially right preceding the Dia de los Muertos rituals of that area. So if people want to learn more, you have a web page that's built for that. It's something journeys. What is the first word? I forgot.
So Carolyn and I recently started an LLC together. The company is called Mondavia, that in the chat. And yes, it's this specifically is the beginning of our work together in personal and professional development. And this is a journey to Oaxaca.
Okay, great. And Mondavia, what does that mean?
Oh, we could do a whole separate one on that.
You have to give us a teaser and
A
then maybe
teaser.
we'll
Okay.
bring
The
you back
teaser
for
is
that, right?
it started with the idea of vines. We like the interconnectedness and the sort of growing of vines. And yeah, landed on Mandavilla is actually a type of vine, a tall vine. And there's obviously more to that story, but yeah, so Mondavia, I think for us represents not only this idea of growth and interconnectedness, but the first word being the French word for world and traveling and giving a sense of that. So I think that represents what we're looking to do in development and growth, both personally and professionally.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for explaining a little bit how about you came up with the name and everything. All right, I'll make sure to put Mondavia journeys in the show notes. So if anybody's interested, they can go there. If they missed the Oaxaca, it sounds like you and Caroline have some other adventures that you're already starting to plan in the future, which is so amazing. Is there anything else that you want to share?
No, I just want to say thank you because I appreciate this opportunity to share with other people that what we're working on and the support that you give to myself and the other members of the CCC and other nurses in creating a way for us to help spread the information. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're so very welcome. My pleasure. It was great chatting with you. And again, I'm like, can I make this work in 2026? So if you're listening and you're thinking of acting, you better act faster than I do. All right, Christine, thank you so much.
Thanks, Christy.
If you're curious about hypnosis, nurse-led coaching, or exploring the Calm Collective Care team or our audio library, just visit our website at www.calmcollectivecare.com. That's Calm Collective Care, all one word. We offer individual sessions, group sessions, and our growing library of guided experiences. If this conversation sparks something for you, share it with a friend or another nurse who might benefit.